Okay, I'm going to already start recording, but and try to share my screen. Let's get back to the beginning. Okay. All right. So I'm Elaine Hayes. I work at the Laramie County Library, have worked at the Laramie County Library for about 21 years. I've been doing genealogy and the genealogy classes for about 17 years. And I have been doing these classes online since November, but we hope to start doing them in person again in August, just to let you know. This is being recorded and will be on the Laramie County Library YouTube channel. If you want to look at it later, or you are using your iPhone and the screen isn't big enough, you might want to check it out later on the recording. Can everyone see my screen? I just get one person maybe to tell. Yes. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and get started. So this is German American genealogy. So researching your German immigrant ancestors, both in the United States and hopefully in Germany too. We'll give you some hints about both things. There we go. I assume you're here because you know that you have an ancestor that immigrated from Germany, and there are various ways that you might have found out that, like things like family stories, mentioned in an obituary, family history, things like that. But one way you might have found out is through the US Census in the years where they asked where you were born or where your parents were born, or where they specifically asked about immigration date or naturalization date. This is the 1920 census from Nemaha County, Kansas, for my great grandfather, August Haug. And in the middle of the screen, they're the family that he's highlighted in yellow, and the rest, his wife and kids, are in green. The question in the middle of the page asks the year of immigration, and 1869, and the NA next to it means that he's naturalized, and the next number is the year of naturalization. And you'll also see that they asked that particular year in 1920 where that person was born and where both their mother and their father were born. And the birthplace for August Haug is listed as Württemberg, Germany. And his parents were both born in Württemberg, Germany. The census taker marked out the word, Württemberg, and just wrote Germany by it. But Württemberg was probably the name of the country when August was actually born, because Germany hasn't existed as an independent, entity and for that long. Before then, there were a lot of smaller city states and duchies and things like that. But this is how, this could be one of your first hints as that you have a immigrant ancestor, is from this, one of the censuses on those years. We will see this census again later, but now that you know that you have a German immigrant ancestor, now what? If you're going to try to do research in Germany, you'll need to know at least a full name, full birth name, if possible, of the person that was born in Germany, the date of an event that happened in Germany, and this would usually be either a birth, baptism, or a marriage, or something like that, that happened in Germany. And a guess is great. If you have a guess at it, I'll show you an example of that too. That will help you. A location of the event in a certain area of Germany is very helpful. There isn't a really good central repository for archival information in Germany, they're in a lot of different smaller locations. So if you can find the location, then that will help you. Your religion or occupation of your ancestor may help too. More Catholics were more in the southern part of Germany in general, and the northern part of Germany was more Lutheran dominated. So that might give you some idea, and it will also give you an idea of where to look for those religious records. How you start any genealogy project is that you record what you already know about your family. You begin your research at home by looking for documents that you might have in your home and talk to your relatives. Lots of reasons to talk to your relatives. The relatives might actually be working on genealogy and have a whole lot of family tree information, or they just might have some of those records that you need, or or you want to get those wonderful family stories too that make your genealogy come alive. Also you want to be looking for published information in books and computer databases. You don't want to have to reinvent the wheel by finding just all the original documents of everything in their original location if it is on a genealogy database like Ancestry or something like that. You want to look at all those likely places first. Researching the history of the places they lived will give you a good idea of maybe why they immigrated or why they went to a certain place in the United States when they did immigrate, things like that. It'll just give you some clues. And also, if you know what county and state they live in, then that gives you an idea of where to look at for state or county archives for more information. You always want to start by looking for your ancestors in the United States first. Get all the information you can about your ancestors in the United States before you try to go across the pond and find them in Germany, because you're going to need all those clues, location, religion, birth dates, things like that when you're going to look in Germany. And you're also going to need to look in a lot of different sources, things like census records, vital records, obituaries, Social Security death index, land and probate records, military records, church records, things like that. You want to look in the internet. You also want to look in books. You want to, wherever you can find this information and gather it all together. Keep track of it before you go looking in Germany. Any kind of genealogy search on the web, a good place to start is Ancestry.com or Ancestry Library Edition. Ancestry is the biggest genealogy database for the English-speaking world, at least. And Ancestry Library Edition is the library version of Ancestry.com that you can get to through your local library, including Laramie County Library. And you will be able to search that at home because of COVID until December 31st, 2021. They have extended that access from home because a lot of libraries were closed and things like that. Ancestry.com is the commercial site that you pay for, and but it's the same records, the same information is available on Ancestry Library Edition. FamilySearch.org is the LDS, or the Mormon Church's family history website, and the Mormon Church in Salt Lake City has the largest genealogy library, and they have the largest archives of genealogy information in the world, and they have digitized most of their collection. 80 or 90% or more has been digitized and is available for you to find and search on FamilySearch.org. So definitely a place you want to look at. Find a Grave is also really great for finding information in the United States. Some of these other ones, Roots Web, US Gen Web, Cindy's List, the US National Archive, or just do a good old Google search looking for the specific information you're looking for to see where it might be. But, and I mentioned all these websites and the handouts. There should be a webography, and I've done these handouts on purpose to allow you not to take a lot of notes, you know, so you can just listen and have the handouts for all the websites and things like that. So these will be in your handout. Now, this is a little bit of history. Early on, the Germans are the largest, the most immigrants to the United States came from Germany. So it's the largest ethnicity, I guess, in the United States. The early immigration waves, Amish and Mennonites and others to Pennsylvania. Even earlier than that, there were several Germans among the Jamestown settlers, but then we have the Amish and Mennonites and other groups that came to Pennsylvania in the 1600s and 1700s. The Palatines, which were the Germans from the Palatinate and an area of Germany in the early 1800s. Then we had a lot of Germans from a lot of different areas coming in the later 1800s, mostly Lutherans and Catholics. And they did a lot of chain migration, which entire families might have migrated or immigrated together, sometimes entire communities. But often the father or you know, brothers or would immigrate first. So the father might come first, and then mother and children later, or sometimes all together. From 1820 to 1915, 6 million Germans immigrated to the US, which is, like I said, the largest group of ethnicity for immigrants. This group includes the Volga Germans, which are the Germans from Russia who settled heavily in the high plains, so in places like Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska. So around here, there's lots of Volga Germans. And then later we have things like German Jews and other refugees before and after World War II. Anytime anybody's going to immigrate, there are these same push and pull factors, and immigrate with the E means leaving a place. So they're immigrating with an E from Germany, and they're immigrating with an I to the United States. But the pull factors are just higher living standards in the place that you're going, religious and economic freedom, available land, which was actually a big thing for the Germans, is homesteading and land that they could either buy or get a land grant in the US. Chain migration, which we mentioned earlier, is like everybody in the family has already immigrated, so you're going along with the family. Push factors, things like shortage of jobs, unemployment, low wages, poverty, political conflicts and war, violation of human rights, corruption, high crime, all of those sort of things are the things that make you want to leave a country sometimes and push you out. Sometimes people will say that they're Pennsylvania Dutch, and these are just immigrants that came from a certain area in southwestern France and settled in Pennsylvania in the 17th and 18th century. It's not necessarily the Amish or Mennonites or whatever. It could be any that kind of immigrated to Pennsylvania in that time period. So some of them were Lutherans or Anabaptists too. This kind of is just a little map of the United States that shows where Germans settled, and you will see there's a lot of in the Midwest and the Northeast and things like that, less in the South, less in the West, but there's And it tells you a little bit about the total immigration, and the other chart does. Since 1820, you see some big peaks in like 1900 to 1930. There's a peak earlier in the 1850s, 1860s, 1870s. And I see a big peak here, 1880, 1890s for German immigrants. And the total percentage of all immigrants is about 14%. So that's quite a lot. After about 1910, there were stricter quotas about how many people could come from what part of the world and things like that. So it was kind of locked down to more northern immigrants, less from the eastern part of what was then Germany. Germany's borders have changed a lot over time. And for most of history, there was a group of German-speaking principalities grouped together rather than one unified Germany. And these are kind of some of the names that you might see. All the colored portion is actually Prussia, and you'll often see what Prussia is, but it could be anything from over there in Lithuania or Poland to very parts of Germany that are almost in France. so there's quite a bit of areas. You'll see, my great grandpa was born in Württemberg. That's down in southern Germany, and it's very close to actually Switzerland. So it's kind of good to know your history. And this is 1871 to 1918. German Empire or Austro-Hungarian Empire, sort of that area, that era. And this is Germany today. This is the unified Germany that we have today. And you can see that some of that previous map was Poland or the Czech Republic, Belgium, France, Austria, and not actually what we think of as Germany today. This is a little movie. Let's see if I can get it to play. But this just kind of shows you how the borders have changed over time. And with some little music. We've got some of the leaders. It's not very long, I promise. (1796), 1803, 1805. Okay, so just the point is that the borders have changed, and so it's good to keep in mind, you know, whether your ancestor came from Germany really was in what is in Germany today, or if maybe they're in Poland or they're in the Czech Republic or something like that. There are some good German immigration websites. We're going to kind of look at the screenshots of these real quick before I do my a little more telling you exactly how to do the genealogy. But Ellis Island and Liberty Ellis Island Foundation.org. Remember that Ellis Island didn't open until 1892. So if you have Germans that came before then, you're not going to find them in Ellis Island. Castle Garden is New York immigration from 1820 to 1890. And I also always remind people that there was nothing that said that you had to immigrate through New York. That was by far the largest port, but many Germans immigrated through ports such as New Orleans or Charleston or Boston or Philadelphia or places like that too. The online German immigration at germanroots.com is always good to take a look at. And Immigrant Ship Transcribers Guild has a lot of information that may not be located, you know, elsewhere in places like Ancestry or other genealogy databases. This is the German Roots website, and I looked for, you know, my ancestor, and in Baden-Württemberg is where where information about Württemberg would be now, and clicked on some of these, including the Württemberg Immigration Index. And remember, that is index of people who want to leave Germany or Württemberg to immigrate. This is Ancestry Library at the Laramie County Library. That's what our opening page looks like. I went under the search button at the top to look at all the categories. You can look at just, you know, census and voter lists, or birth, marriage, and death, or military. You can also look at immigration and travel only, or you know, you can look at the card catalog and just see what kind of databases are available. Or you can just click on that green button and begin searching, which is probably what most people do, is just search for whatever they can find. I went to the card catalog and searched just for what I could find in Germany. And then this just gives you an idea of all the different databases apparently that have to do with Germany. There's 1,888, and some of these have millions of records. All of these I see on this page. Well, I see one below that's like 603,260 names in the database, many that are pretty big. All right, so this is my case study. The search for my great grandpa Haug, and there's some pictures of him and his wife Catherine. You'll see that it's a wedding photo, October 21st, 1872. So that's a clue already. I know when they got married, but I knew a little bit about August Haug, and one of the things I knew about him was that that he was born in Germany about 1850, and that he immigrated to the US. Heard he was about 21, and that he came with his brother, and of course they settled in Kansas as a farmer. He married Catherine Selbeck, who was born in the United States, but her parents were German, in Kansas in 1872. I know he was Catholic. So I know a little bit about him, and all of these will be clues to help me find more about him in other databases. So I'm in Ancestry Library. I put in his name, August Haug, and I'm just looking for census and voter list here. So August Haug, born in 1850 in Germany. And I didn't click on exact, so it's okay if he's born in 1852 or 1853 or 1848. It's still going to find him. And you can open up more information, to search for and add a family member. And I added the spouse name of Catherine because I know that about him. And August Haug is a pretty unusual name, so I probably find him anyway. But adding a birth year, a birthplace, and a wife's name should really help narrow it down to my August Haug and not other people with just the same name. And it is going to show me when I go click on the results, it is going to show me the best matches on top. And these are just census. But the second one in the list, the 1920 census, if I kind of hover over it, it's going to open that up and it'll see this is August Haug, who birth year the census is estimating is 1851, born in Württemberg, Germany. It looks funny like that because it's not really reading it correctly because it's not an English word. They're Nemaha County, Kansas is where he's living on a farm. He's married to Catherine Haug. He was born in Germany and so were his parents. He's naturalized. All this sounds good. That sounds like the right person. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see below there's other things that I should probably look at, including Kansas state census collections. But for now, we're just going to click on this and the see more button. And okay, there's more there. I can click on view to view the actual census form. And I always tell people, pay attention to those suggested records that are on the right-hand side and to the bottom. Those are usually very good because these are things that somebody on Ancestry has attached to this same person. Ancestry thinks these are all the same person in all these records. And in my case, it's probably me that's attached these all together. But if it wasn't me, then that's a great hint for my cousins. So I'm going to click on the view the blank, not view the blank form, but view in the little green box and view the original document. I can print this page right here. I could send the information home. I probably should save it somehow, but I might want to save the original document, which is, okay, this is just showing you the suggested records down below and more of that page. It actually translates it well from the handwriting to the printed form. So if I have trouble reading it, I can see that it's August Haug and Catherine and his 3 youngest children that are still living with him. And I have pointed out that we have the 1910 United States Federal Census that I should probably look at also, and that Württemberg, Germany Immigration Index. And everything else I don't want to, but ignore it, but I'm going to come back to it later. This is just more of that same census I showed you before, but we have an immigration date of 1869. We have a naturalization date. We have a naturalization date of 1890. And you might want to look at the other people on this page because these are all their neighbors. And you might notice that all their neighbors speak German. They're all German immigrants. And we have kind of similar 1880s, 1860s to 1890s immigration dates. And most of the adults are immigrants, and most of the kids have been born in the United States, in Kansas specifically. But it gives me clues for looking at previous census. This is 1920. He immigrated in 1869, so I can probably keep finding him back to hopefully 1870 census. And I can use that information in to find immigration, passenger lists, and things like that, immigration and naturalization information. That's just a little bit close up in case you can't see that. One thing I noticed is that, of course, August was born in Württemberg, and so was his parents. Catherine was born in Indiana, but her father was born in Prussia, and that's marked out, and it says Germany next to it too. But it was nice that the census taker, even though he marked out those area names, you can still read it for everybody on this page. My guess is he asked them, and he was probably also German, and he understood what they were saying, but he was told to just record country, not area, so he marked those out. Okay, this is the 1910 census, so I'm going backward. You know, you're supposed to start with the present day and work backwards in time, and the census came out every 10 years. So I'm looking for the 1910 census. Here I find August and Catherine, and even more of their kids. These are different kids than were on the other page. And we have, gives you some more information, like how long they've been married. That's a question asked. There's a question asked, and for them it's 39 years. So I can get an idea of when they got married. The 15 and 14 for Catherine, they are asking how many children she's given birth to and how many are still alive. So she says she's given birth to 15 children and 14 are still alive. Wow. Which, since they're at the bottom of the page there, I should probably look on the next page to find the rest of the kids. Some of them are probably adults already and living on their own, but they do ask again immigration date, which is 1869. So another thing to keep track of. This is the 1900 census, and more of their kids are listed here. At this point, they asked again, Catherine. Catherine's spelled different. It's spelled with a C this time, not with a K. Yeah, that's some more of their kids. Still not the 14 or the 13 that she's had at this point. Some of them are out of the house. But they do record where that person was born and where their mother and father was born. And this time it says 1870 rather than 1869, you know, give or take a year, but and at that point, his PA means pending. His naturalization is pending. That means he is intending to become naturalized, but hasn't finished the paperwork yet in 1900. This is the second page of the 1900 census. Well, no, this is the 1900 census. That's them. There again. It looks like I have put in two of the same thing. This is just a little bit close up. This is kind of nice because this is the 1900 census, but they're actually they asked your birth year. So when you have the birth year of August, Catherine, and all the kids. His birth year is 1850. So my guess of 1850 was right on the money. So, okay. Earlier we saw that the Württemberg Germany Immigration Index was one of the things that they were telling me to also look at. And this is it. And it says his birth date is 17th of August, 1850. So if I didn't know that, that's good to know. That's why he's named August, is because he was born in August. So, and that his birthplace is Wormlingen. So I've got a birthplace in Germany. And this is information that he filled out in Germany to immigrate to the United States. And he applied to leave Germany in February of 1869. So it tells you a little bit at the bottom where they got this information, which is actually a set of books that we have in the library if you wanted to look at it. And there's actually microfilm of the applications, which are in German, but they asked them questions. They wanted to make sure that they weren't trying to leave Germany because they were trying to, abandon their wife and children or avoid military service or avoid going to prison or anything like that. That all their obligations to Germany were fulfilled before they could leave. I also, so that's some good information. I definitely need to keep track of the birth date and where's his birthplace and the application time period. That's going to help me find those immigration records. Also, over on the suggested records, I have one that says New York passenger list 1820 to 1957. So I definitely want to look at that. Oh, this is the Württemberg Immigration Index, what it looks like just sitting on our shelf. And that's the page for August Haug. And it's basically the same information we saw before, except after Vermillion for his birthplace is RTB, I think is Rottenburg. So that's just a bigger town near that area. Might have been where he actually applied. And they ask where you're going. And people say North America or America, pretty much. There's a few that are going to Austria down below, but where they're going, the number at the very end is a film number from the LDS Family History Library, if you wanted to actually order the microfilm and see the original. They may have digitized that. I need to check and see if they're digitized, because I actually asked for micro fish made, and I still have that. And I looked through it and found some information. In fact, I found his brother right next to him on the list, but it's all in German and it's kind of difficult for me to read. So, but we'll talk about that, how you can glean some information even if you don't speak German. Okay, this is the New York passenger list for August Haug, and this is the 25th of March, 1869, which makes sense. He applied to leave Germany in February, and he's actually going to get on a ship and leave in the end of March. He says birth date about 1850. He's actually 19. The port of departure is Hamburg, Germany, and Le Havre, France. Le Havre is just probably their next stop. The ship's name is the Westphalia, and I can click on, and down below we have the source of passenger and crew list of vessels arriving at New York, New York in this time period, basically. We can view that passenger list, and that's what we're going to do next. This is what it looked like. And this is what passenger lists look like between 1820 and 1890. They ask, they count just how many passengers we have, which is that first number is just a count. And then the person's first and last name, their age, whether they're male or female, their occupation, where they're from. They're all from Germany. Where they're going to, it says United States written up and down. And over on the far right is, it says between decks. And between decks is just another way of saying third class or steerage. For August, he is in the middle, 165 and 166. In the middle is Reinhard Haug, who's 22, and he's male. He's a smith. Below him is 166 is August, and then it's Dio for ditto. And so that's August Haug, and he's 19, and he's a cartwright. A smith, of course. A cartwright is someone who fixes wagons, wagon wheels and wagons, and could very well work with a smith. That makes total sense. Other people on the page, I see a clothier, I see laborers, I see a carpenter. I thought there was a cooper, which is somebody that makes barrels. So these are all manual laborers of different kinds from Germany. So another thing you can find in Ancestry is all passenger ships and images. So you can see the passenger ship images. And that was actually a suggested record in a previous slide. But we can look at the Westphalia and see some information about the history of that ship and a picture of that ship if it's available. Mm-hmm. The time period that he's in is the 1868 to 1887. So if I wanted to look at the history, I'd look at that one. But I see a picture. It looks like it's 1887 to 1923. So we're going to look at a picture. Actually, this is the history first. It had other names because ships often will be rechristened with other names, especially if they're sold to somebody else. The shipping line is Hamburg, America. It says when it was built, its tonnage, its dimensions, things like that. Its maiden voyage and other information. And then I can click on the passenger ships and images, and there's an image of the actual ships. So if that's a your ancestor ship, that's kind of cool to see that. And picture them as sort of down there on steerage, sort of down in the belly of the ship. Life between decks was pretty crowded. There were hundreds of people. I think it was something like 700 steerage passengers. They would be in bunks. Families would all be in one bunk, and they might have 4 or 5 in each bunk, and they would just sleep head to toe so they could all fit in those bunks. You would generally have to bring all your food for the entire trip. This time period, it was steamships, so we're talking weeks rather than months for a sailing ship. But so you would need to bring your bedding. It would just be a hard bunk with no bedding if you didn't bring your bedding. So you need to bring your bedding, your food that you're going to eat for a few days, and everything with you. Everything that you wanted basically for the rest of your life on your trip. And they were big accommodations. Usually families and would be together. And then there might be an area for single women and single men too. Oh, here's a picture. Okay, so that we've got a large area, married couples or mixed groups together, and families, and a little couple for little smaller places for single women and single men. And also I see a female hospital and a male hospital. I think the little circles might be toilets in there, the smaller circles. Where is Wormlink? I just did a little search because I found out, oh, that's where he said he was born. So Wormlink, Germany still exists. And there's a Facebook page, and there's some lovely pictures of this cute little town. I can see that it's in Baden-Württemberg. Administration region is Freiburg. The district is Tuteling, which will come up again. You know, it's good to know where are the bigger towns, where can you find those records. And I'm looking at Wikipedia in English, of course, because that's the only language I speak. Problems you might have finding your ancestor's birthplace. You don't read German, like me. You can't decipher the German Gothic script. And one of my handouts was German Gothic handwriting or script. And it was like that, very fancy script until after World War II. So your documents are going to look like that rather than just easily readable for somebody that had high school German. The place name that you found that they were born in or married in does not match any place name that you can find today. It's either too small of a town or the names have changed. All of those things happen. Or the place names you found matches more than one location in Germany, which of course happens all the time. Very common names are going to be found. Every, you know, sort of area is going to have the equivalent of a Springfield or something like that, or you know, Steinberg. I don't know, some place that has a common name. I showed you, these are the handouts you have. You have one that looks like the old German type of handwriting. So there is typewritten, which is, it kind of shows you what the letters that we can read look like, and the old German type or the old German script, the actual handwriting for that. Some of them are quite fancy and don't really look like, you know, the other letters. And for your keywords, of course, it's really good to know things like what the word birth. If you're looking through a document that's all in German, you can usually pick out the names that you're looking for, but you what do the dates mean? Is it a birth? Is it a burial? Is it a baptism or marriage or whatever? Things like mother and father, Vater and Mutter. You know, you need to know those words to find out what this document is, even if you can't read German. There's a really good resource, and we have this in the library, but it's the Meyersgazetteer of the German Empire, and it was, seems like it was 1910. I don't know why I'm not seeing my presenter view, but it was early in the 20th century, and it was in this old German script. But this is for what the listing looks like for a little town named Buchholz, and I actually translated myself using things like your little handout that I gave you. It just says that Buchholz is a village, so it's telling you the size. It's a village, not a town or whatever, in Bavaria. In the middle of the district of Lower Franconia, there's a railway station in Karlstadt nearby, a bus station in Arnsberg. Würzburg is the military district headquarters. There are 693 inhabitants there. There's a railway station, post office, birth registry office, all those kind of things that you need to know if you're looking for genealogy in Germany. There's a government distillery in Arnstein, 6 kilometers east, or at least there was then. I don't know if you need that for genealogy. The nearby town is Sachsenhof, which has 76 inhabitants. So that's the kind of stuff you can find in this book, and you can figure out what it means. It has some really unique abbreviations. And of course, you know, it's German and the script and German grammar and things like that. Fortunately, there is now a Meyersgazetteer online, which is just meyersgaz.org. And I looked up, I just typed in the search bar, Vermillion. And it tells you how to search, you know, if you're not sure exactly how it's spelled, you know, or the spelling changes, which happens, you can use a wild card and things like that. Okay, so I looked it up and we have exactly, there isn't a listing for Vermillion, but there is for Tuteling, which is a bigger town nearby. And it does tell me, it kind of translates this so I don't have to go through it and give me some idea of the geography and where I might find records for that area. You also would need to look for these things, that these heritage books, the Orts-Sippen book is a town lineage book, or a Orts Vermillion book, which is a town family book. So the town lineage book or town family book, it would include births, marriages, and death data for everybody in that family. I just let Kathy in, but we're about halfway through, Kathy. Just to let you know, it is being recorded if you want the first part. So we're going to look for these records, and these are available online too, but they're not always in English. So remember that we have some ways that we can do some translating of websites in places such as Google Translate. So, and these are also in your handout. But this is the online Orts Vermillion Booker at genealogy.net. And that's genealogy.net .de. DE stands for Germany, Deutschland. So, and that little map you can make bigger, so you can see every little, I guess that's a church is an archives, and that's where you can find those books. You can also look below and find the area. And I know I'm looking for my family in Baden-Württemberg, which is just down below there. And there isn't one, I believe, for Wormlink, but there isn't one for Tuteling, which is the closest place, big place on the map to Wormlink. But this Laiz, L-A-I-Z, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, there is a listing for that one. So I can click on that. That's pretty close. It's a possibility that they might have records from people that lived in the area of my ancestors. So I clicked on that, and this is in German. I can try to get it, well, over on the left side, you can see that we have different flags, and you can click on English or that little British flag over there and hopefully get it translated to English. I did, and it told me basically, you know, this has not been translated into English. And if you'd like to volunteer to do that, you can, it directed you to where you can do that. But you don't really have to translate it. Up above, you can see that the Taufen up above under church books, Kirchenbücher up on near the top. Taufen means baptism. So it's basically saying they have baptisms from 1600 to 1660. Taufen is christening, I don't know, or baptism. And see, I was trying to figure out what this other thing is. Marriage, is the next word. So I'm just looking at our little cheat sheet to figure out what's available. And over in the red circle is the actual book, if I want to look through that. And so I can click on that, and I might realize that where we have sort of an index over here of different years, maybe go to the right year, but I can click on that and get the, actually go through the book. And I tried to do that, and it sort of made me go blind because once again, I don't read German, but it's possible. I'm hearing somebody. Can you mute yourself, please? Okay. Okay. I went to a different area, which was actually translated into English at genealogy.net. So this is Gerlingen, and look for some Haugs. And I did find some information about some Haugs in that area. You'll notice this actually hasn't been updated in a while. Last update looks like 2013. So, but that might be all there is. I clicked on Johannes Talk and got more information. So we have mother and father, children, his parents, things like that, more information. And I believe I already tried to translate this, but this is, and it's mostly translated. Okay, so that's why I gave you some keywords, is because you will find that maybe not everything you're looking for has been translated. Germany has done some census, not as regularly as we do in the United States, but there are some big census information. This Mecklenburg-Schwerin census of 1819 is on Ancestry.com, or this is the location for an archives in Germany, that akvz.de. Schleswig-Holstein census, 1769 to 1860. And this was an area that was part of Denmark until 1860. Includes Lübeck, Hamburg, Oldenburg. Hamburg and Oldenburg, these are all, possible areas that your ancestors might have been from, big areas, a lot of people. And it's available in the same places. The 1838-1839 census for minorities. This is actually the website for the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, because this was mostly a census to find out where Jews were in 1838, 1839. But if you have Jewish ancestry, that is a really good resource to know that's out there and exists. Could be helpful for Gypsies and other minorities also. Other good German websites, we're going to look at them sort of some as just their website real quick, but the American Historical Society of Germans from Russia, Foundation of Eastern European Family History Societies, if you're finding out that they're actually maybe in Poland or Czech Republic or something like that, and not in German. Some German culture and genealogy information. German Genealogy Group in the United States. There's a Germanic Genealogy Society. All of these, not only will they help you find out where to look, but some of them actually have things that you can search, which actually GermanRoots.com is very good for some immigration information from Germany that you might not find elsewhere. There's information for Palatines, the Palatines to America Society, and a Pennsylvania German Society too. So. This is the American Historical Society of Germans from Russia. Remember, we got lots of Germans from Russia in this area. German Genealogy Group. There's a lot of databases to search here. Over in that gray line up and down on the left-hand side are things that you can actually do some searching for. And this Palatine's to America. All of these are, I see German maps, interactive version. You know, that's where I got some of the maps, things that I showed you. This is Bundesarchiv, which is in Koblenz, Germany, and they basically tell you that this isn't a good source for a lot of individual person-related documents, like, but that you should go to the churches for most of the birth, marriage, and death information. They are pretty good for military information, especially 20th century military information. But this is translated into English, so that's a plus. They refer you to this archive portal to find out, to find state archives and local archives, church archives in different areas. I found out other places, a list of government and church archives in Germany. So this is the reason why you kind of need to know where they were from in Germany. And, you know, I have a birthplace, so I could know where that is and, you know, what area of Germany it is in now. So I could probably figure out where the archival information might be by using one of these websites. The Poznan project is Poland. I mentioned that was formerly in Prussia, so you could have people that you thought were German because they were from Prussia, that turn out that the place they lived is now in Poland, even if they were German speaking. So that'll help you with Polish genealogy. Do you have Bohemians? Well, that's Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia. And so this is the Czechoslovak Genealogical Society International, can help you with that. You don't need to join these to do some searching. You know, if you find out you're going to do extensive research in that area, then you might want to, but you don't have to. This place I found is good for Roman Catholic records, specifically, and you can click on the little magnifying glass to do a search. I did that actually. I did a search for records in a certain area, and it give me some birth information. Yeah, these are baptismal information, baptismal books in a certain area. And there's even a picture of a church there. There's a map, interactive map that you can click on, 2 different kinds of maps. This is one of them. You can actually look through it. Again, it's in German, but this is the right time period for what I was looking for, or pretty close, 1838 to 1854. If I was looking for that ancestor that was born in 1850 in Germany, he was a Catholic, he would have gotten baptized right away after he was born. This is what the pages look like. So you can see names, and you can figure out what those categories are. Some of them are a little tough to read, but they're in order by time period, because they would just fill out, you know, and go on to the next page when they have another baby to be baptized and fill out the information. I think it's in German rather than Latin, which might come up too with Catholic records. Where can you learn more? There's lots of German genealogy societies. I mentioned some of them, but they're in the handouts. The family history guide is fhguide.com. This is the family history library, sort of way to learn about genealogy. Both Ancestry.com and Ancestry Library Edition have some help, and I think Ancestry Academy is what they call it, that you can look at different sort of webinars and information, and there's handouts and things like that. Cindy'sList.com is a genealogy website that's been around for probably 25 years, but it's just a list of different other websites where you can find information by subject. So you can put in German genealogy or Germans from Russia or something like that and find what information you can find out about that. Studying your history always helps. Definitely getting a genealogy how-to book helps. Look at my bibliography or webography handouts. Most of the books in the bibliography are in our genealogy section here in the library and don't check out, but you can look through them and try to see if you can find your family. There are a few that check out, that'll just how-to books that you can check out for 3 weeks and take home. Our volunteers are returning back to the special collections room at LCLS, and they weren't in here for a while, but we've loosened up our restrictions. Masks are optional at this point. So they're recommended if you haven't been vaccinated, but you know, we're not going to check that. So it's basically however you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable wearing a mask or not, you can come in the library and stay here all day and do your genealogy research. This is just what Cindy's list looks like. So there, you know, there's under Germany, we have birth, marriage, and death blogs, history and culture directories, Germans from Russia, Jewish, Lutheran, etc. Family history guide. It'll tell you how to search Ancestry, how to search FamilySearch, or find my past or my heritage. But you can also go under countries and look for information too. I did that, and this is what they have for Germany. Information about how to do German research. So consider researching in the Laramie County Library System's genealogy collection, or checking out one of those genealogy how-to books. We have a lot of them. A lot of them aren't specific to Germany, but they're just in the 929 Dewey Decimal Call number area up on the 3rd floor. Search our databases at lclsonline.org. You'll need your library card number and your PIN. The default PIN, if you've had your card for quite several years, it's wild, and you haven't changed it to something else. It's wild, something else. It's wild, W-Y-L-D. If you've just got it within the last couple of years, the default was changed to READ, R-E-A-D. But so I'd say try those two first, and if you don't figure out what it is, just give us a call and we'll help you with the PIN. This is how you go to our databases. Our website is lclsonline.org, and you click on Library Catalog. Oh, yeah, it says lclsonline.org. Click on Library Catalog, then you can click on our databases. And when you click on databases, you can see on this page that at the bottom there are they're by topic, and there's a genealogy topic which has 4 items in it. Or you can say, well, I'm just interested in ancestry, so you can browse the databases by title, by A. If you can't remember the lclsonline.org and to click on databases, you can also just go to GoWild, GOWYLD.net, which is up at the top of the screen too, and you'll get to the same place. About probably when you click on genealogy or click on the databases, click on Ancestry or whatever, it's going to ask for your library card number and PIN. So that's the time when you're going to put that in. Don't put in any A or B or any spaces, just the number, and try wild or read as the PIN. Once you've done that, you get to here. These are all the genealogy recommended databases. And I circled the first two because these two are probably the big ones for doing genealogy. Ancestry Library, and it says that you can search it from home until December 31st, 2021. After then, you come in the library and search it, which is the way it used to be, is that you would have to, if you didn't have a subscription at home, you had to come into the library to search it. Heritage Quest Online has a lot of great genealogy information, and it's always available to search for free. The little bucking bronco horse next to it means that the University of Wyoming paid for that database, which I think is awesome. The WSL means it's the Wyoming State Library. So, Wyoming State Library gets money directly from the state legislature for education. And so that's how they pay for those databases, as does University of Wyoming too. So that's where we get these databases. If anyone has any questions, I will answer questions now. I'm going to stop sharing, and so I can see you if you want to talk. Anybody have any questions?
I've got one.
Okay.
It's not totally related to the German stuff, but I was numbering my charts and the people. I think I figured out how to number the people, but the charts, do you just number those 1, 2, 3, 4 also?
Yeah, the charts that you're talking about, I usually start with the chart that you started with that has you as number 1. You know, you're number 1 and then your parents, that's chart number 1. Okay. So you're number 1 in chart number 1.
So everything just kind of follows, you know, just like with the people and everything else, like that I would be chart number 1. And then it'd be my great grandfather would be chart 1, the next one would be 2, and so forth. Yeah,
that person that's at the top at the right, which is your great grandfather or something, he would be number 1 on chart number 2 probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I thought. I couldn't find much online about that, but I did find it about numbering the people. And then also, you know, as far as like computerized trees, is there a good source for something like that, you know, as far as doing it on a computer?
A lot of genealogy like software will do trees for you, and usually you have to pay for those. Not always. Some of them are free. A lot of them have a free version. I'm trying to think of, in my basics class, I say Legacy, maybe Family Tree Maker, Roots Magic, all have like some free family tree information, and usually you can print out. So you enter things and you keep track of it, and it will produce a family tree of your whole family if you want, you know, once you've got it all entered.
Which ones did you say there?
Off the top of my head, I think I said Legacy, Family Tree Maker, Roots Magic. There are more. You're Kevin, right?
Barry.
Are you Kevin?
Barry.
Barry. Okay, you're Barry. I can send you my basic handout, and that's one of the things that it lists is these family history software.
Yeah, Elaine, this is Kevin. Thanks so much. What a nice job. You saved me tons of time. couple questions. Is your PowerPoint going to be available online? And,
Yes.
I'm intrigued
Kevin,
by-
I might have lost audio for you. Ask that again.
Will your PowerPoint be online available?
Okay, I think you're asking about my PowerPoint. Do you want a copy of that?
Yeah.
Okay, I can send that to you. It's usually a pretty big file. This is why I don't like share the whole PowerPoint, but I can try and see if it'll go through to you. Also, it's going to be recorded. And another thing I can do is probably print it out. Maybe that's what I should do, is I'll print it out like a handout and send it to you. And I can send it to all of you if you'd like. But
that'd be great.
Okay, I got everybody's email. So I'll just create basically like a handout from the PowerPoint and just send it to you. I used to do that, but it was a lot of paper. And so I tried to do other handouts instead.
Elaine, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, one more question. So I have early relatives that I believe came from the old German countries that are now countries like Poland and what have you. And so how can I find a series of maps like you showed that show the different changes over time? Is there something out there you'd recommend?
You know, I just bought a book, and I think it was Family Tree Press or something, and I haven't seen it yet. It just came in the mail maybe 2 days ago, and somebody in the library is processing it. But it was something along, the title was something along the lines of historical maps of Germany. Maybe I can figure out what that, and I'm hoping that this will have it, because otherwise, you know, you're looking online to try to find the right thing. And indexes like that Myers index is good for, because it has the old names of places. I have actually in my Jewish genealogy section some, you know, small towns in Poland and things like that, which are, you know, fine to look at. That might help you. But so yeah, I'm hoping that this historical maps of Germany book that I've got might be helpful. We do in the genealogy section have some old atlases. That'll help you sort of a general idea of what area, you know, you think they were in at that time period. But yeah, sorry, I don't have it right now. It didn't come as quickly as I thought it would, but soon I hope to have this atlas, which is specifically historical maps of Germany, because it is a part of the world that has changed a lot, many times. The borders changed so much. Yeah.
If you come across the name of that atlas and could pass that along, that'd be great. Just for your information, Elaine, I'm reading a historical chronology on World War II, and specifically the German invasion of Russia. And I just recently read how the Russians had essentially deported many of the Volga Germans. These were people of German descent that lived in Russia during World War II. And Stalin essentially required that they be rounded up and deported to other provinces in Russia, such as Kazakhstan. And there's some detail there, and it speaks to the number of families and the number of individuals, German, Volga Germans, but it was in the neighborhood of roughly half a million Volga Germans that got relocated from places like Moscow and Minsk and other places in Germany, which was something I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. I know that most of them came earlier, and it was because of Catherine the Great. And I was thinking it was Catherine the Great. They used to have a deal with Catherine the Great that they could remain Germans and they would live in Russia, but they wouldn't have to fight like in Russia's wars or anything like that. And the Tsar changed the rules. And they're like, so they didn't want to go back to Germany. So a lot of them ended up immigrating to the United States to get out of Russia because it was not a good place to stay anymore. But of course, not everybody did. Never does everybody leave. There's always some that stay behind. And some of those probably in World War II, they're ready to leave.
Yes, Stalin was concerned that the German Volga Germans would essentially turn against Russia and support the German infantry during the war. And he was concerned that they were going to be essentially blowing up factories and doing essentially counterproductive work on behalf of Germany. So that was his reason for rounding up these Volga Germans and essentially shipping them off to Eastern Russia.
Wow. I didn't realize that either. Kind of sounds similar to what we did with the Japanese in World War II. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to send you a few things. I did find the name of that atlas. It's called the Family Tree Historical Atlas of Germany. And it's going to be in the genealogy section here. So not able to check out, but something for you to use as a reference book. And hopefully you can make a photocopy or something of maps you need. It's also something you could purchase. We just got it from Amazon. If you really wanted to, I don't see the price, but I don't think it was more than $25 or $35, something like that. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Two quick questions. You were saying that the volunteers are coming back soon. Is there a date yet?
I have probably 2/3 of my volunteers back already. So it depends on their own comfort level, whether they were ready to come back, because most of them are older. Not all of them are back yet, but I do have somebody here for at least a little while every day. I would say probably Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the day are good times to come. I also have a couple of volunteers that are coming on Saturdays, if Saturdays is better for you. So I don't know if I have any German experts that are here, but they would love to help you, because we haven't had a lot of people coming into the library lately, and they're getting kind of bored. So you come in, I bet you will get one-on-one attention and help.
Ancestry.com, we got remote access till the end of the year.
Yes, you do. Yeah,
Fantastic. Through
the library for Ancestry Library Edition.
Fantastic.
Right. It is great that they did that.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Okay. Well, if we don't have more, I've got all your emails, and we'll send that information that I said I would send to you. And I hope to see you in the library so I can help you out.
Thank you, Elaine. It was great.
You're welcome. Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.